Hello guys and welcome back to another deck preview from Double Sleeve. Today I'm stepping into the realm of multicolor again and we are looking at Blue Purple Crocodile coming from Romance Dawn Set 1 One Piece trading card game. We all know that purple and blue are very strong and putting them together can prove some interesting results. So I'm going to be touching base on what Crocodile can do and then we can go from there and decide if you think that this deck is right for you or if you're planning on playing this when the set comes out. So let's not waste any more time. Crocodile obviously has 4 life to begin with because he is a multicolor. With 1 Don underneath him. After you activate an event, you may draw 1 card if you have 4 or less cards in your hand and haven't drawn a card using this leader's effect during this turn. I've spoken about it multiple times, how cards in your hand are very hard to come by. And this leader is actually very interesting because it revolves around using your effects and your events, your event cards, to actually continue to draw. So you'll see this deck probably have the most amount of event cards I've ever put in another deck itself. And guys, if you enjoyed the content today, please consider giving us a subscribe to the channel. It will help us grow. Leave a like or a thumbs up on this video to let us know that you enjoy deck previews. And definitely leave your comments in the comment section below to let me know if you change ratios, if you're going to play this deck, or what your thought process is. We'll start with the purple cards that we're going to be putting into this deck today. I am going to put in 4 Kurazumi. It is a 2-cost 3,000 blocker. Feel like this deck has a lot of nice ways to kind of play around, and it does need a couple of blockers to kind of make sure that you can kind of get that timing of what you're after with this style of play. We're going to put 4 Jacks in, 3 cost 4k power. On play, you may discard 1 card from your hand, reveal 1 Don from your Don deck in active. So, bit of ramp. Obviously, purple is known for ramping its style up as well, and then being able to play with those Dons that are already rested, which is why I think Jack is quite decent. The discard is obviously a bit painful, but you'll see that we'll be able to draw obviously from the events and stuff like that. I did put 2 page 1s in this deck as well. It is a 4-cost 5k power, so he'll be able to swing at leaders when he actually is available to swing. But I put him in for his activate main. So once per turn, you can actually return 1 Don, even if it's in rest or if it's under a character or anything like that. Back to your Don deck. This character can also attack your opponent's active characters during this turn. So I really just did it to make sure that you can board clear something that's kind of sitting there that has had its time, or blockers if they're not looking at blocking. Yeah, I found it a little bit hard to kind of find cards that might work really well with this deck, but I think two of page 1 might actually be the play. You'll probably see that being removed going forward when there's more support for Animal Kingdom Pirates, or maybe there's better blue cards that I might be able to add in. That was my thought process on it. We're going to add 3 Queens in, 5 cost for 6k power. It is a blocker. And then on play, you can also neg a Don back to the Don deck. You can draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. Not a bad play. Again, draw is so hard to come by, but being able to use her as a blocker with 6k power, I feel like is pretty decent. It should survive longer than 1 turn, or your opponent has to put in extra effort to make sure that they get rid of Queen. Last purple card as a character card itself, I put Babanuki in. I spoke about it in some of the other blue decks as well. Normally, I don't really rate vanilla cards. However, I do believe that a 5 cost at 7k has a place in decks. I put it as 4. I think big bodies like that are definitely nice to have. I'm sure they'll be replaced down the track. But for right now, a 7k swing is not too bad for 5 Don. Touching on blue now, Trafalgar Law, very straightforward, 1-cost blocker. I've got 2 of them in there. Feel like there are better cards that kind of help this deck out a bit. 4 Alvida, good card. It does have 2,000 counter power as well. I think that's one of the biggest draws to her. You can put a Don underneath there, and when you attack, you can discard a card from your hand, and you can also return one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less to their hand. So good bounce ability. The 2000 counter power is obviously very strong as well, which is why she's at 4. As we move over to Doflamingo, he's a 3-cost 4k power. Is a blocker, and then on play, you can look at the top 5 cards, rearrange them, and put them at the top or bottom in any order that you want. We've got 3 Miss All Sunday. She's also a blocker. On KO, if your leader is Baroque Works type, add 1 event from your trash to your hand. Again, we're talking about the leader ability and being able to draw off that event card. So she does come in play. Probably wouldn't see her if you're not running many event cards itself. We've got 4 Draco Mihawks, 4 costs for 5k, a Don underneath. You can draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand when attacking. So it's important to note you draw 2 cards first, and then you can trash 2 cards if the 2 cards that you drew are absolutely garbage. He's also a 2000 counter, so I would be careful thinking about where I would want to play him. If I want to play him, or if I want to keep him in hand for the counter. Wow, that was actually, I'm not sure if you can hear that on mic, but that was absolutely crazy lightning. Talking about some pirates here. How fitting. Yeah, so it's got a 2000 counter as well. So some people might choose to obviously hold that in their hand rather than use it on field for his effect. I think it's good either way. That's why I've got him as a 4 of. It's never a dead card, let's put it that way. Jinbei, I've only got it at 2, but I feel like I've always put it at 2 in any of my blue decks. The trigger is to play this card, and then on play, it places 1 character with a cost of 3 or less at the bottom of the owner's deck. It is a 4 cost, though, so I don't see myself hard casting it. It's really, if you get it off the life, it's not too bad. It has no counter either, so you'll be able to discard it from Mihawk and then kind of figure out if that's a card that you want to keep in your possession. 3 Doflamingo SRs, 7 cost, 7k power. On play, it returns a 7 cost or lower character to its owner's hand. Very, very strong card. It's why we've got it at 3. You've got a lot of blockers to help you get to the end game, and then you can also deal with their big bodies on the board, which is why we've also got Draco Mihawk in the deck, but we've only got him at 1. It's a 9 cost, 9k power. On play, you can place 1 character with a cost of 7 or less at the bottom of the owner's deck. So not to the owner's hand, but this goes to the bottom of the owner's deck instead. Crucial that they don't get the counter portion of the card as well. Giving them free combo is obviously not the best thing in the world. But being able to bottom deck so they have less cards in their hand and they can't play that card again next turn is so crucial. It's not your be all end all card. That's why it's only there at 1. I feel like this deck really revolves around just using your counters and then being able to draw replenishment from the leader itself. Touching on to the event cards, we've got 2 Blast Breath, the only purple event card that we put in. Counter for Don 1, so you return 1 Don back to the deck. For this battle, your leader or one of your characters gets 4,000 power. I think it's quite strong. I've got it at 2. And then using that allows you to draw 1 as well from the leader if it's your first time using an event card. Amazing. We're going to look at Overheat now. It is a 2 of again. It's a counter. If your leader or one of your characters gains 4,000 power during this battle, then you can return 1 active character with a cost of 3 or less to the owner's hand. It has to be active. So you can't return anything that's rested. However, the trigger, if you do hit this on your life, you return 1 character with a cost of 4 or less to the owner's hand in general. Great trigger, great card to play, to use on your own defensive turn if you've got 2 available. And again, the fact that you can draw off the leader if it's your first time using it, I love it. 4 Love Beam, I think this card is so amazing. It is a 2 cost, it's a counter. Your leader or up to one of your characters gets 4,000 power during the battle, then draw 1 card if you have 3 or less cards in your hand. So you can trigger this, then trigger the leader ability. If you've got 3 or less, you'll be back up to 5. You get 4,000 power. It doesn't have a counter. It doesn't have a trigger off life, though. So you have to activate it yourself. And then we got 2 Sables as well. This is still a really great card. For 4, you can activate main and you can return one of your opponent's character with a cost of 7 or less to the owner's hand, and then the trigger activates it for free as well. Um, might think about upping that myself. I think it's a really, really good card considering you can also draw from your leader. But the bounce effect for 4 or from your life is quite good as well. I think it's definitely a go-to card. It is expensive for 4, but when you start coming up against those decks that have a lot of 7 costs and stuff like that, even 6 costs, it will end up being quite clutch, I believe. But hard to say, obviously, without any events yet, and we're still making these videos before any big large scale events come out in the world, apart from Japan, of course, and other Asian countries. But that's it from me, guys. That is what Crocodile looks like, multicolor as well. We will have obviously the blue Crocodile deck list on our channel somewhere as well. So, guys, if you enjoyed, please consider leaving the thumbs up, subscribing, and comments down below to let us know what you think of this deck and if you will change it or if you're debating playing this or the other Crocodile or even the other multicolor deck as well, which is Kaido, which is blue-purple, which we will have a video on that up shortly if we haven't already done so. Thank you so much, guys. Take care, and hopefully see you in one of our future videos.